Y'all might have seen Grantham sporting this bad boy and thought to yourself, well, that's a sick looking radio. I'd love to get my grippers on that slick piece of metal meat. A little reality check on that one, folks. That radio is a cool 10 Gs. So what the heck is this thing and why does it cost more than 2 grams of plutonium? Today we will go over the MPU5, what technologies it's built off of, what its capabilities are, if you need one, and possible alternatives. The MPU5 is a smart radio developed by Persistent Systems as a means to simplify radio communications between on-the-ground troops, and it was released in April of 2016. The MPU5 sports 3 flexible antennas, a durable metal body, a GPS antenna, and a channel knob. The battery supposedly lasts for about 12 hours depending upon usage, and the whole radio is IP68 rated. 6 indicating complete dust tightness and 8 indicating that it is water resistant at depths of 1.5 meters or 5 feet in real units for up to 30 minutes. Its overall weight with a battery sits at a hefty 30 ounces or 1.8 pounds. The antennas are based on a multi-input, multi-output technology also known as MIMO. MIMO denotes that the antennas are capable of sending and receiving from and to multiple devices at the same time. The MPU5 is set up in a 3x3 configuration, meaning that it can receive on 3 antennas and also send on 3 antennas. The way in which MPU5 radios talk to one another or create a network is through the Wave Relay MANET standard. Mobile ad hoc networks or MANETs allow for multiple wireless devices to make up a network of their own, mitigating the need for a centralized router or having a single point of failure. Instead, each device on the network passes along information it receives until it reaches its final destination. These networks can heal themselves if a device drops off the network, utilizing other devices within range if the one closest by fails. Wave Relay also expands on this MANET standard, taking into account differences in terrain between devices and environmental conditions such as electromagnetic interference to allow for quick and stable communication. On a fundamental level, these radios use multicasting in order to make sure that important information makes it to the right place. Multicasting in networking means one to many. In this example with pure voice communication, we have a single radio transmitting with multiple radios on that same network receiving. From what I can gather and inference with my 1 year of CompSci and CompTIA Network Plus, when the user presses down on the push to talk button, the radio begins sending out a multicast packet. This tells receiving radios nearby, hey, this message was meant for the multiple devices on the network that are on this channel. Those radios will then push that information to authenticated radios also within the same network that are on that specified channel. Now, to be fair, that might be completely different from reality, however, as I'm lacking the 20 grand necessary to put 2 radios on the same network and run Wireshark and actually analyze the network traffic there. So someone in the comments with more information will likely correct me. Now, as hinted at before, the cool thing is that the MPU5 is essentially just an Android device with a specialization in radio. The radio features a graphical user interface or a GUI that can allow the user to interact with the radio like a normal desktop computer. Since it is built off of the Android operating system, things like APKs can work out of the box by simply installing it through that interface. Persistent Systems have also developed a ruggedized display that allow the user to have a direct input option that can be mounted on the user's chest, giving you quick access to those important tools in the field. I'd also like to point out that you can use Teams on this thing, which is just a strange thing to include in an advert, but here we are. All of this to say you can use ATAC on the radio out of the box. So now we not only have a radio capable of working independently from any base station, but it's a computer, a MANET device, and a way to have complete situational awareness with everyone on the network. This thing is powerful. Another cool bit of info on this thing is that it uses a combination of AES and SHA 256-bit encryption, in which that key is the way you authenticate the users on the network. So once you get the first radio set up, you generate a key. That key is then placed on subsequent radios and used to authenticate anyone looking to transmit or receive on the network. Cool and effective. Now, interestingly, you can choose the range of frequencies you'd like to transmit using physical modules. These range from as low as 1350 MHz all the way up to 6000 MHz. Now, in those higher frequencies, you'll get less range, but very, very fast communication. So let's get down to brass tacks here. Do you need the MPU5? I'm gonna say my gut reaction is no, not for 10 grand. Now, if something comparable was created with the civilian market in mind that didn't seek out government contracts, which would inevitably cause the base price to surge, then I would say yes. Honestly, if the price for the MPU5 was 4K, I'd say it's well worth it. Especially considering a majority of decent smartphones cost upwards of 1K, the ability to communicate off the grid in the manner the MPU5 can would absolutely be worth the extra money, but it's not. It's $10,000. So ultimately the question is, would you rather throw 10K at a single radio, or would you rather invest that into something like training, ammo, NVGs, emergency water or food sources, etc.? I can't mentally justify dropping the total cost of a 2014 Toyota Corolla on a single radio. Now, if you have the funding, the resources, extra income, etc., then yeah, send it, my dude. Go off, queen. Absolutely. It's a dope all-in-one solution that works right out of the box. However, if you want something similar without spending 5 months rent, let's take a look at some alternatives. In regards to direct comparisons, the closest I could find was the Silva Streamcaster radios or Trellisware devices. These act in similar fashion to the MPU5 by being an all-in-one solution and can be found on the gray market for not a ton cheaper. A little less costly is using a Motorola APX XTS5000 and or the XPR 7550 radio. These will cost you from around $250 all the way up to $2K for a single unit. These radios paired with the Pluginix app allow you to be able to send messages and communicate using normal radio comms inside of ATAC. This will still run you a good chunk of change as you will still need the phone in order to run ATAC, but it's a lot less than a whole new transmission for a 2017 Chevy Silverado that decided to die right at the 120,000 mile mark. Not that I would have any personal experience with that. For those of us who like to punish ourselves with DIY networking projects, you can look at creating a hamper, something which was shown off by a Reddit user, Ample Data. I'll leave a link to this in the description, which includes a Google Doc, but essentially, it creates a local MNA network using a ubiquity point-to-point network, which you can then use to communicate with push-to-talk apps like Vox. This would also then allow you to use a local instance of ATAC over that mesh network. Another solution to do this on the cheap is to utilize the LoRa Meshtastic project to create a meshed off-grid network. These devices work off the 915 MHz band in the United States and are pretty dang cool. This is my LilyGo T-Beam. I can connect to this using Bluetooth by my phone, and now I'm capable of sending messages over 830 miles away. No, I am not kidding. This single device with no repeaters, no other base stations, just a clear line of sight from one point to the next will give you insane range. Now, as I said, this is assuming a clear line of sight. If you don't have that, your range is diminished by quite a bit. But if you create a node like I have here, you can greatly increase the coverage you have over areas.
Now this one utilizes a TTGO LoRa 32 to act as a repeater or a router, and so essentially it'll rebroadcast any transmissions it receives, like ones from this little guy here. Now, these things use minimal power, so this solar panel, it's about 5 volts, will be enough to keep that thing charged for a long time. I'm also planning on putting these plans out for any of you guys that have a 3D printer. Go ahead and print this out. It's pretty easy to make.
Now, if you have an Android phone with ATAC installed and one of these lower devices with Meshtastic flashed to them, you're in business. Meshtastic will report your location to the other users on your created channel through ATAC, and you can send messages to each other directly through the app. If you want a longer form video on this, please let me know. So, when it comes to radio comms, the MPU5 has a solid corner on the market with reliability, self-healing, range, and more in mind. The MPU5 is an incredible device that does a great job at a lot of things, just not at making me less poor. But what do y'all think? Are you ready to drop 10K on a smart walkie-talkie, or are you likely going to invest your money elsewhere? Let me know down below. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. And as always, remember our sole objectives. Stop the killing, stop the dying. I'll see y'all later.